Welcome back to another one. So this is going to be a really, really good treat for you guys. I had a thought come into my brain, and anytime I channel the divine and I get these thoughts coming in my brain, I like to see what it is. I like to it's kind of like a gift, right? When you get a gift, what do? You untie the bow, you unwrap the box, you open the box, you see what's inside the box, you kind of play around with whatever it is and you're like, "Oh, okay." Like it's a toy or whatever, right? And then that's how I am with ideas that come into my mind throughout the day, whether I'm on a walk, I'm in the shower, and I write these things down because they're beautiful. The thought that I had come into my mind that I started to play with was confusion is the devil's game, right? And I was like, huh, that's interesting. And then I thought about how when I was trying to get in shape, the reason why it took me so long to get in shape was because I was confused. And I was confused because I was listening to like 10 different people at the same time, right? And just for context, like I remember there was this like jacked vegan dude because I went vegan back in like 2016, and I'm not vegan anymore for context. But at the time, I was trying out the whole vegan thing. I went vegan. There was some jacked dude saying you don't need protein, you don't need to eat 200 grams of protein to be jacked, and whatever, right? Like I was like, okay, well, I could give this a try. And so, he's talking about his diet and eating plants. And then I was listening to somebody else that talked about carb cycling. And then I'm listening to somebody else that talked about intermittent fasting. And then I'm listening to somebody else that's talking about, well, you do have to get your protein in, but you don't want to eat like the fake meats. But when you're vegan, that's like really the main source of protein is like the mock meats, which is actually the reason why I stopped being vegan because that stuff was messing with my gut. And I'm a big component of getting all your food from the produce section. Like almost none of your food should be in a package. That I still stand firm on because that was what I believed when I was vegan. I'm like, I just want to get everything I put in my body from the produce section, plants, vegetables, seeds, nuts, whatever. I just want it all to be, I want my refrigerator to look like a garden. Now it looks like uh now it looks like a butchery, but anyway, so when I was trying to get in shape, I was trying all these different things all at the same time, right? And I'm like wondering why nothing's working. Like I did slim down, I did lose a lot of weight, but I wasn't like jacked. You know what I'm saying? Like my muscles weren't popping out the way I wanted them to. I couldn't even see my abs. Like I did slim down and I got really light. I got really small. Not what I wanted. Not what I wanted. If I was gonna be small like that, like I wanted to be like, like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. It was just not a good look. And so anyway, going back to my point of confusion is the devil's game. And it's like the same thing with entrepreneurship. Like I see a lot of people that come into they want to start their own business, but they're like trying to tackle on multiple things all at the same time. So it's like they're trying to get ecom up and running. They might be, dabbling in some AI content stuff right now. And I mean, there's cycles and periods of this stuff over, the years since I got into the game, right? And it's just like people trying to do, and they're at the starting point, by the way, because you definitely can do a lot more stuff once you're up and running. But when you're at the starting point and you don't even have like the money to even sit at home and do it without having to go out and work a job to pay for your bills, like you are putting a lot of confusion on yourself just from doing this. Like you don't even know what you're doing to begin with. Now, I will give credit to the people that are actually applying the stuff because you're gonna figure it out, and the only way to figure it out, like the only way is through. You know what I mean? The only way is through. So absolutely, I think you should definitely try out different stuff and go all in. But it's more so trying everything at once, and then you don't see a result. So then what happens? People give up. And the hardest part about anything is staying in it long enough to see the results. And this is why like a lot of people bash like going to college and all that, but the one thing that I think is very good about going to college is it builds a certain type of discipline and understanding that in order to in order to like get into this avenue, and in order to see a financial like reward or result, you need to go through this period of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of not really making any money in order to get in that, let's say you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, engineer. That takes a lot of years of school. And you're not making doctor money when you're in college. Absolutely not. You're not making lawyer money either. So you're building this discipline, and you're understanding really the foundation of delayed gratification. And so a lot of people don't build that. So the people that are like, oh no, like F college, I'm just gonna go and figure out stuff online. It's like they don't have that resilience, like that understanding of this is gonna take a lot of time to do. So when they don't see a result within a few weeks, they just give up. Right. And mind you, on top of that, you're paying for school. You're taking out loans to do that. But when it comes time to take out a loan for a business that you're going to start, everybody's like, no, 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 I got to work and come up with the money and cash myself. And then, like, you don't even understand how this whole game works. Totally different subject. Maybe we'll get into that. Maybe we'll get into that another time. But the point of this video is that the devil's game is confusion. So as long as you're confused and you're lost and you're not knowing what you're doing, like you're in this state of like you're in this state of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like hopelessness. Like, oh, is this ever gonna work? You know? There was somebody I was listening to today, um, do door-to-door sales for the first time, and I could just hear the hopelessness build up in his mind with each door that he approached. The nervousness. And he's like, oh, hey, I'm just, walking around, and we have a discount. And every person that said no, like that thought of, am I even built for this? Is this even going to work? This is the wrong thing. Maybe I'm just not like those, those voices. If you don't, if you don't have a strong internal dialogue, those voices will overcome that internal dialogue that you are, yes, supposed to have, that is like, nah, you got this. Just go to the next one. Go to the next one, baby. You got this. It's only a matter of time. Run the numbers. Run the numbers. Everybody wants this service. Somebody wants this service. It ain't got to be you, but somebody is going to want this service today. That internal dialogue is so important to have at any point, because the people that see success doing anything have failed more times than than most people have even thought of trying. Like, just like really digest that. Like, failure is a key to success, right? But when you're like, you don't even know what you're doing, and you're in this confused state, and you don't have this strong faith. And I always think about this parallel between, like, not to get preachy, right? Not to get preachy, but I just want to make a very good example. A lot of people believe in God. A lot of people don't believe in God, right? But when you believe in God, you've never seen God, right? Like, you've never physically seen God, but you believe that God exists. You have faith, right? It's a belief. So you're not seeing it to believe it. The belief is there first. And it's the same thing with succeeding at business, sales, fitness. Like, if you believe that, hey, I can have that, hey, this is real, as long as you have that belief, you're on the right path. Like, you just need to stay doing it long enough to see it through. If you're overweight right now, right? And just, this is so, like, I think this is such a beautiful thing. If you're overweight, If you're overweight right now and you're trying to get in really good shape, right? Okay, so let's say you're like 20 pounds overweight, 10 pounds overweight, whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be something drastic. You can be extremely overweight, but for the sake of this example, let's just say you're, 20, 15 pounds going between. You're 15 pounds overweight, right? A pound of fat has 3,500 calories in it, okay? A pound of fat has 3,500 calories. So, in order to burn a pound of fat off of your body, you need to burn you need to be in a deficit of 3,500 calories. So think about it like this. Let's say let's say let's say your maintenance, right, to maintain the weight that you're at is 2,000 calories a week. And or I'm sorry, a week. 2,000 calories a day. And every day, instead of eating 2,000 calories, you eat 1,500. That would mean each day of that week, you are in a deficit of 500 calories. And there's 7 days in a week, 500 calories a day. So 500 calories times 7 days, that's 3,500 calories total. You will burn a pound of fat in that week. Like, no questions about it. As long as your health is, as long as you don't have like an extreme health condition or something, right? You will burn a pound of fat in a week. And so if you have a goal to lose 15 pounds and you are able to stay in that deficit of 500 calories a day, how long is it going to take you? You guessed it, 15 weeks. Now, some people want to see that 15 pounds gone in a month. It's not going to happen. Run the numbers. Like, if we can make this a simple math equation, we take a lot of the complexity outside of it. And I'm not even saying this because I know there's a big spiritual aspect to winning. Like, you have to have, like, once you like see progress, it's like you start getting, like, you get this mojo. You get like this mojo and you're like, yeah, I got this. Like, this is, but you have to keep that going along the way. But to get that fire started, you got to start. You got to create that energy, and it's kind of like rubbing two twigs together trying to start a fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just like rubbing the twigs together trying to start a fire, and then it's like, oh, this ain't starting, and then you finally see a spark and you're like, oh, and then you keep, it looks like I'm doing something else. I hope your minds are not in the gutter. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So you're starting a fire. Once you get the fire started, it's like boom, fire bursts into flames. Shout out to Tony Montana. Fire bursts into flames, right? And now you just gotta add stuff to the fire, keep the oxygen going, fan it a little bit. And it's like boom, momentum. It's a beautiful thing. Momentum is a very beautiful thing. Take advantage of that. But a lot of people will want that result too soon. And because they want it too soon, they throw up their hands too quick. You have to be patient. And it's like, it takes a tree how long to grow? It takes a tree how long to grow? And we're sitting here trying to rush success, trying to rush. Things do take time. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but greatness, you cannot rush greatness. You cannot rush greatness. So as long as you understand that, hey, whatever I'm doing, there's a time component that needs to take place, and I have to allow that time to pass, you're good. I mean, what, like, it's a math equation. Like, let's break it down to that. And so, rather this is fitness, rather, let's say you're in sales and you're like, well, I'm trying to, I've been in sales, so it's easy for me to talk about. But let's say, like, it takes you $300 to make a sale, right? Like, based on your skill level, it takes you $300 to make a sale. Let's say you suck really bad. Let's say you really suck and it takes you $500 to make a sale. Like, that's your average. Hey, guess what? It could take you a whole week to make $500. Or it could take you a day. You could do $500 in a day. Get a dialer, just rip it, It could also take you a week. You could just do $100 a day and be like, ah, nobody's buying this today. This sucks. I'm gonna go out and do something else. You know, I'll get back to this tomorrow. It like you are just making the time drag by doing that. You're making like the only reason why money is valuable is because of the time it takes to make it. If somebody told you, "Hey, I'll give you $1 million, but you have to work for me for 10 years or you have to work for me for 20 years," $1 million divided by 20 years is like $50,000 a year. You know, like, so it's like the $1 million is only special if you can make it. Like if somebody says, "Hey, like I make $1 million in a year, I make $1 million in a month, I make $1 million in a week." Because of the time factor of it, that's what makes it valuable. It's not the money itself, it's how fast you can make it, right? And so if it's a math equation and it's a simple math equation, and sometimes, hey, look, because this kind of goes against what I was saying a little bit earlier, but it doesn't. It doesn't. And you know why? Because if you're new to something, you are going to suck at it. That you sucked at walking the first time you try to walk. You sucked at talking the first time noises came out of your mouth, right? Things do take time to learn. You're not ever going to just be amazing at something the first try. I mean, obviously there's the exceptions, but for the most part, there's never going to be a time where you didn't have to work at something in order to figure out how to do it or figure out how to execute it the way you wanted it to be executed. So with all that, hey, if I've never done sales before and this is my first time being on the phone, yeah, it's probably going to take me $500. It might even take me 1,000 dials. The faster you could get past that learning curve, the faster you can get past that learning curve, the only way is through. You have to get past that learning curve. You have to get past the part of looking stupid and sucking. It's like, that's why a lot of people say they have a lot of respect for fat people that go to the gym because they're there and they might have an extra 100 pounds on them. They got a long way to go. And it took them a lot to get there because they're surrounded by people that look great, right? And they're 100 pounds. So think about that. Let's say they're on the same thing. They're burning a pound of fat a week. That's 2 years. It's gonna take them to burn that. Now, obviously, technically it's not because they're probably in such a caloric surplus that even like it'd be relatively easy for them to drop fat faster. Like they could be losing 2 pounds a week and be in that much of a deficit because what they were eating before, they were probably eating like 4,000 calories a day. So if they're eating 2,000 calories a day or 2,500, if they drop it that low, it's like, okay, do the math. 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. So confusion is the devil's game. If you're in a confused state right now where you don't know what's going on, you don't know what you're doing, you're trying to figure out this whole thing, like just think, am I getting my information from multiple sources? If you are, you should probably cut that out. Try to stick to one. Try to stick to one thing. Do that one thing. Get good at that one thing, right? Once you get good at that and you get the result, now you can add on the other stuff, right? So, hey, let me not try to do intermittent fasting and a caloric deficit and all these things all at once. Let me just start with the caloric deficit. Let's just start there. Then once I got what I like to eat, that keeps me in a caloric deficit throughout the week. Once I got that, then I'll just eat in this time frame. It's just stack. Like just stack. Have you ever heard of skill stacking where you learn one thing and then you build on, like let's say you learn sales and then you learn, management and then you learn, supervision. Like you just you learn one thing and then you stack on top of it with other stuff. You learn weightlifting, regular weightlifting, and then you learn eccentrics. And then you learn the explosive movements, right? Take your time with this stuff. And when I say take your time, I don't mean procrastinate. I mean, when you're doing it, take your time like in it to find your groove. Like that's where you find your groove. That's where you find your rhythm in it. That's where you're like, oh, I see how I could use this. You know? Like I see how I could bring my personality into this. I'm thinking about communication right now, but you know, you can make anything work. At least I believe that. You believe that? I hope you do. If you don't, you will soon. I'll see you in the next one.